All right, welcome. I'm so glad you made it here. This is a safe container for us to ask what Risa and I were just chatting about, like a really important and sometimes really tough question around whether you should stay or go in a relationship. And now we are not making the assumption that this talk is for everyone. It's really not. This is specifically for women who are in relationship and have this question weighing on their mind. Should I stay or should I go? And why do this in our parenting space? Risa and I were just chatting about how if we have this question weighing on us and we're trying to figure out how to get on the same page about things like routines and discipline and other decisions as a family, it can really get in the way of being able to feel like you're on the same team as co-parents or as caregivers. And so I know that there are those of you out there who really do have this question. And so when Risa said, this is something that I could share with your parents, I got so excited because I know the sense of like freedom you can feel on the other end of that question. Whether it's yes or if it's no, it still just gives you clarity so that you know how to move forward. So that's why we bring in these kinds of resources into the group. And thank you, Risa, for your generosity in coming and sharing your tools and insights today. So
my pleasure.
Risa,
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not hearing you. I'm going to fix something on my end. Sorry. Okay. Now I hear you. Great.
Okay. Yes. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here to be able to share. I know it's important.
Yeah. And, I want to hear a little bit more about how you help women find the clarity they need and a little bit more about like how you came to this work. Like it's such a specific question that, I mean, I know for myself, I've been in that moment in my previous relationships. Yeah. And so I'm just curious, like how you came to this work and tell us a little bit about how you help women, find this clarity. And actually, before we dive in, let me more fully introduce you. I just take for granted that I'm like, I know Risa, she's amazing. Hold on a sec. So Risa is a relationship and personal empowerment coach for women, the founder of Full Circle Wellness in Connecticut. And she's a mind-body stress relief expert. And what I know about Risa is that she's been able to help thousands of people in her work over the past 2 decades. And when people work with Risa, they experience greater peace and health and happiness in their lives so that they can get on to do the bigger things they were meant to do. She's specialized, and this is what I'm so curious about, in helping women get crystal clear on whether or not they can make their relationship work, or if it's time to lovingly release them and be able to move ahead confidently in their lives without the regret weighing on them. So today, Risa is going to give us some tips on how to navigate the challenges you're experiencing in your relationship and to get the clarity you need to make the decisions that are right for you. And this is, I just want to give you a heads up, a little bit of a teaser because she also has a really robust training coming up this month where you can go dive deeper into this question. But let's get to it. So Risa, tell us a little bit about how you help women find the clarity that they need and how you came into this work.
Yeah, so I spent a long time being married to a man who struggled with alcoholism and depression. And I sat in that question for a lot of years. In fact, the research says most women, it takes about 10 years by the time you start thinking about divorce or whether you should stay or you go to be able to make a decision to leave. And I have no attachment to one decision or another. But my goal is to help you get clear within yourself, because nobody can tell you what the right answer is for you. No therapist, no friends, nobody. You're the one that has to come to that clarity within yourself. And so what I learned through my life experience, through my training as a transformational life coach, through all the research I've done and through all the women that I've been working with over these past bunch of years, is that there's actually a process that you can go through in order to come to that clarity. And so that's the problem, is that most women stay stuck, and it's understandable why. And we can talk more about that too as we go today. But for a lot of years because they just don't have the tools or the support they need to be able to make the decision that's right for them. And so what I've come to identify is what I call the relationship clarity process. And it starts with us really just getting clear within ourselves. And we can talk a little bit more too about like what that process looks like. But yes, it's really through my own life experience. That's why why I love to do the work that I do, because I know now, coming out on the other end of it, just like you, like I know, like you just don't have to struggle. You just don't, it doesn't have to take you 10 years of turmoil affecting your kids, affecting the family, affecting everything. It's like there's tools and there's support available. So I'm really happy to be here to share with what I can today. And I do
Yeah.
also have that free training coming up that I'll let you know about too.
Well, I'm so I just feel your heart in your work, Risa. Like you so clearly take a stand for women, especially, but I know folks having healthy relationships that really support their life and their goals and not to be stuck in that struggle. And if there's a relationship clarity process, like amazing, because I could see like getting clear and no matter what you're, where you land on the stay or go spectrum, it will help you have a healthier relationship. And it's something that is really more for you to figure out than, let's say, going to couples therapy or something would be a different kind of work. And so I can see where you're like filling this gap that's out there where women just like would really need someone in their corner to lead them through that process. So how exciting.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and and that the tools that you learn and that you're going to learn in the upcoming training too is like just how to navigate starting right now, like starting as soon as this, we do this training. If people want to join in, it's free. It's coming up. I know we'll talk more about it at the end, but you can get the tools you need right now to
Yeah.
just be more at peace so that you're feeling less anxious, less frustrated, to already like to start to shift the dynamics that are going on regardless of what you end up deciding down the road what you want to do, is just to help you navigate right now with more peace and start to get on the path to just finding the clarity that you need. It doesn't can start right now. Just we can get happier like now.
Yeah, and so in this interview, like one of the things we really wanted to get to people were to the women listening are like what tips you have around like first the reasons why we get stuck and maybe even stuck in relationships that we're not happy in. Like
Mhm.
what are some reasons that you've seen
Yeah.
um, women end up in that position of being stuck?
Yeah. Like I was saying, the research shows it, women stay stuck in unhappy relationships for an average of like 10 years. So why do you think that is? There's good reasons why we stay stuck in stuff we're unhappy with. And it basically just boils down to fear. And so, we like from where we sit, we're struggling in our relationship and we kind of feel like, we're maybe I've tried like all kinds of things and nothing's working. And we feel like I just sort of have to grin and bear it. I have to, just kind of suffer through this and stick it out. And then because on the other hand, it's, it is scary as hell to think about just leaving the relationship and everything changed, like everything, like, blowing up your whole life basically and letting the pieces land in a whole different place. So we feel like as neither of those are really good options. Like I'm not happy where I am and I don't want to hurt anybody, and like there's all kinds of reasons and all kinds of fears that keep us sort of on the fence, which is not a comfortable place to be either. So what do? We gotta get some tools to be able to just at least for now just climb off the fence and get on the path to finding the clarity we need and getting the tools we need to be able to deal with fear. We're going to do that all coming up in the free training. I'm going to give people some more help with how to do that.
Well, it is scary. I mean, I just want to be like real. Like, I remember being scared of what it would mean to continue and what it would mean to leave and stuck on the fence. And it can be exhausting and stressful to be stuck in that space. And I just love your invitation to like get some hand holding and some strategies and some tools to be able to navigate that fear and the underlying things that maybe you actually really want but don't admit that you want, or the
Mm.
other things. So
Yeah. Because
Awesome.
really
Yeah.
the goal is like, either let's figure out if there is a way to make this feel good again, at like, marriage 2.0, like, can this evolve into a new, better version that feels good, that actually works? And if not, then we owe it to ourselves to get the support we need to deal with the fear and to just be able to move ahead and go through that relationship clarity process, so that when you get to the end, 100% in your heart, you showed up as the person you want to be, as the most loving, best version of yourself, and that you did everything possible. And if you get to that point and you see it's not going to work, then you have an answer and you can move ahead without any regret or second guessing. So that's the goal, is to get you to 100% clarity, and whether it's with him or without him, to be happy no matter what. And that's what I do when I work with my clients.
Amazing. So powerful, so helpful. Risa, your work is beautiful and so needed, so needed. So, and I I wonder, like, and you're not going to be able to give us everything that you're going to share in your 5-day training. But since we're here with you, those of us who are listening to this and are interested in just getting some of your top tips, for women who are struggling with that question of whether to stay or whether to go, like, where can we start?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Step one is we've got to get our focus off the partner and off what's not working, because it's really not helping, right? Would you agree? Like, just to
Yeah,
stay.
like really wanting to change them or focusing on whether they are or not doing things. And yeah,
Yeah, it's like we get
yeah,
so focused on the other person and what we're unhappy about and what they need to be doing differently, in order for us to be happy, what needs to change. And we're actually not going to solve the problem by focusing on the problem. So we got to get our attention, all our energy, our focus off, just for now. My invitation is, just for now, can you just stop trying to fix it, change it, control it, make it be anything? Like, just, it is what it is right now. And so I feel like, we're wasting so much of our energy, our life energy, and all our precious energy that we need to, be available for our kids and our families, trying to fix and change and stressing out about what to do about the relationship. It's like pushing a boulder up a mountain. I know that's what I
yeah,
felt like.
a
And
lot
so
of
my
work.
invitation, right? Does it feel like that? Is it,
Yeah, and it also, like, it's a boulder up a mountain, and there was this almost like this. I just constantly distracted by it, like there are other things I want to put my focus and attention on, but I'm so, like, just pulled over here into what's not working,
yes.
and even, like, really vigilant, like watching for the signs of whether it's going better or not, and I just kind of get wrapped up in it.
We
Um,
do. I
yeah,
know. I was totally consumed by that whole situation. Not good.
yeah,
Right. So this is where I bring my life experience to this. Like, I know what I'm talking about because I've done it. I made all the mistakes and now I can help you not make them. So that's what I learned, is like the first step is just for now, step out of the way of the boulder and just let it roll down the mountain, let it land wherever it's going to land. It's just for now. Not to say, that's not to say that things wouldn't need to change in order for you to stay and be happy, but just for now, step one, get the focus back on ourselves. Oh, just, take the attention. And I know that's not easy. Like, that took me a while to practice, like, because we sort of get into these habitual ways of like thinking and being. And I know I like, there was one day I was thinking about the situation with my husband at the time, and I would just get so upset. And I actually used to work in a Montessori school, and my job was to show up in the morning and smile and greet the children, and all I wanted to do was cry. And so I know, right? And so I would feel myself like getting upset and starting to cry. And I remember, like, the coaching that I was getting at the time, it was just like, you know what? You've just got to focus on yourself. Like, we don't have control. We just don't have control over other people. And it doesn't help anybody when we try to do that. So there's like, get the focus on yourself. So I'm like, okay, all day long, is like, I just kept saying that to myself, like a mantra in the back of my mind, like thousands of times. Okay, focus on yourself, focus on yourself, focus on yourself. And like, I sort of was like, felt like mental rock climbing. I was sort of like re-patterning my brain. It's
you
like, oh,
were,
yeah,
you were probably
yeah,
literally rewiring where your attention was directed. Like, you were
yeah,
redirecting your attention, right? Like,
yeah.
internally. and
So
raising.
I know, like, it's not easy, but just, just note it, like, emotional upset, cue. Okay, stop focus. Like, what am I focusing on? Okay, stop. Get the focus back on myself. And then the bottom line question is, what do I need to do to take care of myself right now? Or what do I
Yeah,
need to do to take care
yeah.
of myself today? That is always the go-to question. And I still ask myself, you can use that no matter what situation you're in. That's always a good question to ask, right?
Right. It's something we talk about in big emotional parenting challenges too, right? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
like this is all happening and there's all these tools and strategies to help with the children. And what do I need right now? Like maybe I need to put my lid back on. Maybe I need to go take some breaths. Maybe I
Mhm.
need to build in a night off from parenting in the next
Time
2
out for mommy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, and I think it absolutely makes sense that that would apply for all relationships, and especially the romantic relationship, which
Mhm.
somehow it can cut deeper because they're an adult and they should know better or whatever
Yeah.
story we have around it. Yeah.
So that's it. First we got to check our own energy. We got to, do what we need to do for self-care so that we can just start to show up and feel a little more resourced within ourselves. And I know it's exactly what you do when you teach people about the parenting. It's like we gotta do that self-care first. And then, it's about really we get deeper into the work about like up leveling communication skills, how to interrupt those negative patterns of how we're relating with our partners, and just also understanding that like how to stop reacting to what our partners are doing. And there's lots of tools for how to do that. I'm sure you probably have some similar ones, but understanding that those times where we're getting triggered, where our buttons are getting pushed, that we call that triggers as treasures. Because those are actually opportunities for us if we have the right tools and support to be able to look within and see what is it in me that's getting so triggered emotionally. And it's, we all have our wounds, we all have our old patterns of relating that like we pick up as children, and our these sort of limiting core beliefs about, I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid I'm going to be abandoned, or like we all have our, attachment styles and our ways of relating. And so we get triggered emotionally. So those are opportunities for us to look within and do some good healing within ourselves so that we don't have to be in reaction. That's the goal, is like, I don't know about you, but like, I don't want to have my emotional well-being be dependent on how someone else is behaving and how they're showing up. So this is what we learn. This is the work I do with my clients, and what we're going to learn in the upcoming training is like some tools on how can I be more, take control, like have tools to manage my thoughts and process my feelings so that I'm in charge of my own emotional well-being and sovereign, over my how I feel, and it doesn't have to be dependent on how anyone else is behaving. And then I can show up as the best version, most resourced, loving version of myself for other people too. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. I mean,
Mm.
I just it's hitting such a core. I didn't want to forget what you said, so actually I'm writing little notes here
Mhm.
in the chat and
Mhm.
comments too. If you wanted to see, and if anybody hears something great they want to capture, you can stick it in the chat or comments too. I mean, to reframe and shift from like this person's triggering me, now I'm triggered and it's their fault, and that is what I mean, that is part of the experience. There's something powerful about saying, reframing them as treasures and opportunities to heal. Because what I think that's something that oftentimes is missed in like sort of, well, you have a conflict and let's just resolve this conflict and like get through the conflict, and then you can make peace and keep going. But it's like if the same trigger, the same soft spot is there, the button is still there to be pushed over and over, and it's never healed, then you're likely to just repeat that conflict later and then
Mhm.
the same conflict again. And so that inner work is so powerful. And I love that you're doing it through this lens of relationship, because if you're here listening to this talk, if you sign up for Risa's training, if you end up being a client, like it's because you really do want to explore the viability of your relationship. And I'm venturing to guess that if these tips are resonating with you, you're like seeing this opportunity for you to become an even better you, like the best version of yourself, where you have healing you've healed these inner wounds and
Mhm.
have less triggers over time.
Mhm.
Over time, like I've done some of my own work as well in this, and it's years, but it's so worth it. Um, so that you're less reactive and can have a more productive, let's say, conversation and relationship from that. So it's
Mhm.
wonderful. Risa, so powerful.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's such, I mean, it's deep, beautiful, transformational healing work. And so that's the beauty of it. I mean, I just love being able to give women the tools they need to feel like it's really about having our own emotional freedom and coming into good, right relationship with ourselves so that you can be happy no matter what ends up happening. And, a lot of times, the mistake women make is they think, "All right, he's the problem. If I just leave, then that's going to solve the problem." But guess what?
You're
You take
still in the
yourself
next
with you where
relationship.
you go.
That's
All right. And
right.
that's why
Yeah.
divorce statistics for repeat marriages are so high. So, like, I think it's 40 to 50% of first marriages end in divorce. Second marriages, it's like 67%, and third marriages is something like 74%. So it increases. And so why do you think that is? Is it because I'm just I get worse and worse at picking partners? No, because I haven't cleaned up whatever pattern is running in me. So it's like, different face, different place, same kind of relationships, like, have you ever
Yeah.
had that experience? People, it's like you're just repeating the same kind of, you attract the same kind of relationship. So,
Yeah.
it's like we gotta clean up wherever we're at. And
Absolutely. And I think there's also this clarity around like what is it that you actually need and want and desire from a partner that we need, that if you can reach a higher level of clarity and on that than when you started in the relationship, whether you stay or whether you go, like you're set up for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. So it's just, yeah, I see so much opportunity here. And what would you say, how do folks know when it's time to go? I know this is
yes,
like the $1 million question, and
that's the million dollar
there's really
question,
no
right?
short answer. This is
It's
like
not,
why you have a process, but
yeah,
yeah, what would you say to that?
it's not a quick process. It's not a decision that we come to lightly or that we come to quickly. And so what I've discovered is that, this is what we're basically what we're talking about, is that it starts with us taking responsibility for ourselves and how we feel. Doing the work that I'm talking about doing is, being able to first show up as the person that we want to be, resourced from within ourselves, and up leveling the communication skills. And so they're actually, I mean, like, we don't have control over other people, but we have a lot of power to influence as one person, to influence the relationship, because it's like a dance, and it's probably not so fun right now if you're here right now and you're listening to this. And I'm glad that you're here if it's not fun for you right now, because the thing is that we start to change. We take the power. We can't change this other person, but we have the power to come in better alignment with ourselves, and better, right, loving relationship with ourselves, get the tools we need to be able to, like, remove those triggers, and to be able to show up as the most giving, loving, best version of ourselves. Then, we do usually need to be able to up level our communication skills. That's another
Yeah.
thing that I help people with. And then it just becomes like an experiment, honestly, because then you can
Mhm.
see, all right, now I'm dancing up over here as the me that I'm best me I can be. I'm not blaming you anymore. I'm not getting triggered so much by all this stuff. And when I do get triggered, I have the tools that I need to be able to, look within and do more healing for me. So that there's no way I can lose, because I'm showing up as me. If nothing else, I'm growing from this, and I'm healing from this, and I'm learning what I want. And when I know what I don't want, I also know what I do want. And then you just see, like, can he dance with me now? And you see, is he leaning in? Is he leaning out? You'll see, like, you start to show up differently. And then it becomes like an experiment. You just see, well, because we have so much power, like, just by showing up differently and bringing a different energy to the situation. And our kids need that. They need us to show up that way.
I find that so useful, like in my relationships with men and my relationships with women. Like it's just really not like allowing it to be that you show up and in the I would say like the current version, current version of yourself, which with all these, I hear empowered, like a more empowered version, a more healed version of yourself. Yeah, and
Mhm.
like a dance, see how they can step to you,
Mhm.
and can they meet you where you are? How do they show up to that dance now that you're like, you're making new moves or better moves or different moves, and are they
Mhm.
willing to come dance with that? So it's almost like I don't want to say it takes the responsibility off of you to fix, it does take the responsibility off of you to fix the relationship. And so by focusing on yourself, it's almost like, I don't know, I feel a shift there around like not only where you're focusing, because you're like focus on yourself, make sure I'm okay, but it's sort of like it's not up to me how this person, whether it's whether you're partnered with a male or female, like this person isn't not up to me how this person shows up. I can only just be in charge of how I show up.
Mhm.
And then you get to, like you say, almost like experiment, like kind of check it out and see what
Yeah.
shifts or doesn't shift. That's
Yeah.
so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really getting really clear on like what's my responsibility? What do I have control over? What don't I have control over? It's, I learned all that stuff really, really well living with an alcoholic. And believe me, it's like that was my big learning was like, okay, well, yeah, it's like, where do I end and where do you begin? What is my responsibility? And like, just really getting it on a really deep level. Like, it's not my job to change you or fix you or tell you how to live your life. That's your responsibility. My only responsibility is to be in alignment with myself and to, like I said, show up as the best, most loving version of me. And that's how I can be of best support to everybody else too. So we all win when we do that for ourselves. We all win best way possible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think it's also like can't be helping the relationship if the partner is receiving all this, like maybe even like this feeling of someone trying to fix them or change them or make them somebody they're not. Like I think that can be one of the conflicts. And so even though maybe your needs and wants and desires are reasonable, putting all the focus on how they can change is also not helping you reach a conclusion of whether this can work. It's sort of just wearing things down.
Yeah, it
you
really
know?
doesn't help. I know that's
Yeah.
another reason why I'm telling you, like the first step is just stop. Like and
Yeah.
stop trying to fix change. People don't like that when they feel like you're telling them like they need to be different than how they're being. Nobody wants to feel controlled, including our kids, right? So there's ways that we can be an influence without having to try and control. Because when we try and control, it really does, it just creates more frustration and more resentment for both people, for everybody concerned. So
So
yeah.
good. Like, and I don't mind hearing it several times, Risa, just like
Mhm.
the focusing on yourself and stopping trying to fix and control. Because there's something, it's like you're like helping me rewire some part of me that still thinks it's my job to
Yeah.
fix and control things with partners or potential partners. So I just love this, Risa, and I'm so excited that we've been able to learn from you. And I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit more about this 5-day training you have coming up, because I know that this is step one, like focus on yourself and stop trying to control the other person, and
Mhm.
see it more as like a process,
Mhm.
a clarity process. Um,
Mhm.
so what do you help people do in your 5-day training so we can get
Yes,
whether
absolutely.
it's a good fit
Yeah.
for us? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be the 5 keys to know when it's time to go. And we're just going to take a deeper dive into all of this stuff that we're talking about. Day one is what's not working and can you fix it? Getting an idea of like, well, what are the things that is it more possible to improve and what are things that are less likely to improve? Day two, what do you need? What do you really need to be happy? Looking at our expectations, are they realistic? And getting really clear on what are the things that we need to do in order to be happy or that we need to have in a partnership. Day three is how to stop reacting to our partner's behavior, learning some tools on how to use those triggers as treasures. Yeah,
So helpful.
yeah, changed my life, that's for sure.
Yeah. Why?
Day four is getting unstuck, how to break free from fear, guilt, and indecision. And day five, how to know really when it's time to go, and a little deeper dive into this whole idea about the relationship clarity process and how can we really get to that point of 100% clarity. So I'm really excited to share all this information with people. It's going to be powerful. It's 12 to 1 Eastern, which is 9 to 10 Pacific, the week of October 18th. I know you're going to pop a link in. If people want to register, just go ahead and click that link and we'll get you registered for that. And yeah, it's going to be really, really powerful. Like I said, you just don't need to waste any more time struggling with that question and feeling stressed and miserable and confused and stuck. You just don't need to. So come and join me, and just you're going to get some really powerful tools to just help you right now. Like I said, be more at peace and just be able to relax into knowing, okay, there's a process. I can see what the process is. There's a path before me now that leads me to the clarity that I need. And maybe you already know somewhere deep down in your heart, like, this is just really not going to work. And I work with a lot of women who already that too, but it's, maybe we're just not ready to really be that honest with ourselves and admit that. I know I wasn't. It took me a long time before I was ready to really admit that. But it's going to help you too, because we're going to give the tools on how to get unstuck and deal with fear and how to move ahead. So I
Well,
really
Risa,
hope
I
that
just have
you.
to say, like, I'm so impressed with how you're focusing on empowering the women who show up. And it's not really about like, yeah, let's, you gotta get out of that bad like get out of town, like you're not trying to shove people out the door. You really want to empower people to have their own clarity because everybody's situation is different.
Mhm.
Everybody's reasons for staying or going are different. And what I'm hearing is that this container is really going to be able to hold anybody who has this question, whether this question is looming large or if it's just something they've been thinking about lately or comes up occasionally, that the five strategies that, 5 topics that you're covering during this training will be useful for
Mhm.
most women in relationship who have that, even a little bit of a nagging question all the way to they've maybe even threatened to leave already.
Yeah,
So I
it
just,
will be. It will be
yeah,
really impactful, and just like it's just good tools just for us to even just have more emotional self-mastery and for good like relationship skills. And yeah, it'll be a safe, supportive space. It's going to be all completely confidential. We'll be on Zoom and I'll be confidential. So I know it's a touchy subject. So don't worry. It'll be an opportunity for us to come together and for you to receive some support in a confidential, safe, supportive space, and to see you're not alone. Everybody pretty much, has the same kind of feelings and same kind of fears. And yeah, that's what I'm about. I'm about empowering you to come into that clarity, coming into really just aligning with your truth and the clarity that's within you. And yeah, just, being the person that you want to be, and so you can be happy. Starting right now, you can be happier. So
and you don't
come.
have to, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be 10 years, right? You don't need to be a part of that statistic. And if it
No.
has been 10 years, that's okay too. Like
Yeah.
no, no stigma there of any kind, but just knowing that it doesn't need to be another 10 years, right?
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
of not being sure, even if you do stay, right? But knowing that, like, really, what I'm hearing too is like the empowerment to me is that sovereignty to choose, right?
Mhm.
And so if you're choosing to stay, like being powerful about what those reasons are and having your eyes fully open and
Mhm. Uh-oh, you
choice.
froze up.
Oh, am I
Okay,
back?
you're back. You're back.
Yeah, like really coming from that sovereignty of choice and the freedom to choose.
Yeah, and most of the women, by the time they find me, they have been struggling for a really long time. And so let's stop that. Okay. Click. Come.
Yeah.
Join.
Yes, yeah. So I highly encourage everybody who's, pondering this question of should I stay or should I go, to go ahead and take up Risa on her very generous offer that she's sharing into our group and with her networks because we always send good people to each other. So we said we've got some quality folks coming your way who are like really wanting to look at this, and don't hesitate. You know, there's only a more sense of empowerment, freedom, and clarity on the other end of the work, and it's so worth it. So please do go ahead and click and register. It's free. Teresa, you're so generous. Thank you. And thank you for your time today as well. It's been a real pleasure to have you in the Raising Resilience parent group.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you.
Lots of love to you. Oh, and if you would like to follow Risa in another way, she also has a free Facebook group. And that Facebook group is called Should I Stay? And so I'll put a link in this as well if you'd like to go ahead and request to join her group and follow Risa and her wonderful teachings in that way as well. Wonderful. So go do it. Go do the thing. Sign up for the training, join her group, and we'll see you back for another mindset talk on Monday. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and then Risa, I'm going to just take out for a second. I have one announcement before we close. So the announcement we have here is to I think just stay in the room with me. Why not? My announcement is that we still have a couple more days to watch the replay of the Navigating Meltdowns, Tantrums, and Power Struggles webinar. So if you haven't had a chance to register and just get, pop into that replay and get a chance to get those strategies, please feel free to go ahead and register. I'll give you the link to that, and just have a couple more days to watch that. And then you have a whole another week before Risa's training. So several ways for you to play and learn this month. All right, lots of love to you all. I believe in you. Take care of that beautiful shining heart inside of your body, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Risa. Bye.